Hello everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the Sunnyland 2D series. Don't know why I'm messing with my audio. Okay. So I hope you guys made some adjustments to your map and everything. I don't even know if the spacing's good or not. I hope you guys made some decorations, added some stuff to your map. So yeah, so first things first. So that's the thing. First things thing, gonna go to Sunnyland. Scene, not scene, sprites, player. Then we go to idle. And so the first thing I want you guys to do, if you haven't done anything yet, is just go into each folder and just simply delete all of these. Yep, just to delete all of them. So I want you to delete everything, go back to idle. And if you have not done so already, change all of these to 16 by 16 pixels per unit. Because as the size of doing anything, and I guess I have not done that yet. I thought I did. You know, I'm just going to do that when we get to the animations. So, first things afterwards, we are going to click on the first image and drag and drop it over here. Then over here on sorting layer, add the entity tag. So yeah, as you can see, he is going to be in front of grassland. It might be a problem unless I get 5. Nope. You know, he's yeah, he's gonna be in front of everything. Unless I change the entity to be behind. Oh well, we can fix that later. Just for this test though, I'm just going to erase all that. So then up here, I'm going to name him player. Then over here, there's a tag, and a player tag should already be pre-built, and we'll just give him the player tag. Player, we're not going to do anything. And that's how we're going to start off our player. Make sure to save using Control S if you don't know already. Afterwards, we are going to add a rigid body 2D. And use auto mass. Let's see, and we're going to use gravity scale of 2, then everything else would be the same. Then over here on constraints, we will disable Z. So by disabling Z, he won't be like rotating like all over the place like this whenever you move him and whatnot. Because when walking and he bumps into something, he will end up like rotating like that unless you disable Z constraints. Next, we are adding a box collider 2D. And upon doing so, you're going to click this button here next to edit and just make it a fair size. I'd say like make it a fair size so like where you think the player should be able to get hit, so you don't have like extra space. Like he should be him, the tail right here should like a little bit in more. It should be fine here. I'm just gonna move him a little bit up. You can zoom in, fall. I'm just gonna move it like a little bit up so he doesn't hover over the ground a bit. So after doing that, when you press play, you should have some physics, which we can't really see in the game view. So like if I move him up here, physics, he can fall. I'm gonna make sure you go back into here. I'm gonna make a new script just by right-clicking, create. And see the wrong thing. I'm gonna create a folder. My bad. Yeah, I'm gonna get organized first. I'm going off my script again, as always. I'm gonna do a folder, call it scripts. Open that. Create a folder called layer. Then we are going to open this up. Then there's two ways you can do scripts. You can do right click, create, but for all this time we're just gonna go here, add component, call it player controller, then click on create new script, then create an add. and should take a while to load. And boom, you should have your place code. Yeah, it won't automatically go into the folder. You will have to move it yourself if you do not create it in the folder. Then I'm just going to save. So after that, if you do create it here, you would have to drag and drop it onto the player here. Yes, after that, just open up Visual Studios and open up the script. Okay, so for this project, I will be using Visual Studios 2019. I will try to remember to leave a description, link into the. I will try my best to remember to leave a link in the description so you guys can download it. But either that, it doesn't matter. Just as long as you use Visual Studios or Visual. I forget what the other one's called. Studio Code, Visual Code, I think. Yeah, I don't remember. Just anything that allows you to use C# and that it allow you to use the Unity engine. So like if you want to make a script, Unity already automatically adds this, and I don't know if C# automatically has these two here. I don't know. Unity automatically adds this, but if you want to use anything from Unity engine, you actually have to automatically add this. If it doesn't do it by itself. So once the script loads, you always have the public class, player controller, and the model behavior. So you can see this is the base class from which every Unity script derives. So everything inside the script should always be in the model behavior. And that's the name and class. I don't know what class means. And public, well, that means anything can access it. So in the script, we should have a void start and a void update. And you can see it always gives them a basic description. So like start is called before the first frame update. Unity is called once per frame. So inside these voids, everything inside of them is considered to be a part of the voids function if they're inside these brackets. Like you can even close and open them right here to see if it's a part of the void, if it's part of the update or start function. So if you don't know, void refers to a function that will not return any variables unless you add a return call to the function. So yeah, that's okay. So when we click here, give us some room. Then we are going to add a private rigid body 2D and just call it RB, and a private collider 2D and call it col. So when you use private variables, it means nothing can access them but the script. Now, if you put them to public or serialized, okay, I'm going to leave this one as a public. Just save it. The loader should go back. Okay. When you see it's public, you can see our rigid body is actually appearing here, but not the private variable. Why is that? It's because nothing can access it, not even the inspector window. But if you want to have a private variable, but have it be viewed in the inspector window, you're going to have to add, you will add in brackets, a serialized field, and say that. Let it load, and you can see we can access it here. Now, we're not going to be doing this for our rigid body and our collider, but if you do, you could just like drag and drop them here to assign these variables to what they're going to be. But we're not going to do that. So we're just going to leave them at private. Now let me see. Okay, I skipped part yet. So I'm going to change up. We're not going to use start. We are going to change it to an awake function. So this will the awake function is called before start function. So like when the game, like when you go back to here, you can see when you press play, like this loads here, the assembles, what's called the like rigid body collider, everything we have in here will start and load up as soon as it's doing that process. So like as soon as you open the game, that's when everything will run processing instead of as soon as you press play. So if like once the game loads, before anything else happens, it will load anything in stock. But as soon as you press play, before the game fully opens, everything in Awake will run basically, is what I remember. Now then, so if we were doing, how do we call these classes then if we can't assign them? How do we assign them? Well, in here we are just going to use rb equals get component. So this would call the components inside of our player, and we're just going to have to reference it as a rigid body 2D, and we have to add parentheses behind it for some reason. Then close, same thing, equals get component. Not call, it's going to be a collider 2D. So if we use specifically collider 2D, it will call any collider. So box collider, polygon collider, all of those will count. Or we can specifically say box collider, I think. Like, if you're going to have different colliders, you may want to specify the collider, which we are not going to do. We're just going to use regular collider. So, and below this, we are going to add some serialized fields. I'm going to have them all private. I'm just going to quickly copy and paste them. I'm going to have 3 of them. I meant 4 of them. So our first one will be a float, which basically represents decimals. So anything, it can also be used for whole numbers, but specifically use floats for for decimals or well, okay. I'm being confused for quick. Okay, so I only have float represents decimal values, any value that can be a decimal. So yeah, when having that, simply set it to 8f for now. Make sure to always end it in a semicolon. Yeah, semicolon. I always forget this stuff. And the next one we're going to have is another float called a jump force. I'm going to have that set to equals 10s. So this is how fast our player moves and how high, and how much. This is how much force is being applied when our player moves left or right. This is how much force our player moves when it jumps, which is the y value. So next thing we have is a layer mask called ground, which we'll use to detect if our player is on the ground, which I don't, did we add it already? No, which we'll be using the layer here to detect if it's touching this on the foreground, if the player is like in collision with the ground layer map, in the ground layer mask, which, yeah, if it's, okay, if it has a collider in the layer, it will detect if the player's collision box is on the ground's collision box, or collider in this case. I'm very, very bad about this. Sorry about that. So like this can be used to detect if the player is in the air, in the water, like to give it swimming animations, or detect if the player, I know, is flying or not, if you can have flying or not. That's something we'll see it. And then our last one would be a boolean, which we just call bool in Unity code. This represents basically true or false, and when clause is jumping. So for this game, I'm going to have a mechanic where as soon as you stop by coding A and D, you just immediately stop. So like if I don't have this here, and I'll show later on, we'll just slide to a stop, sort of. But here, so just make it stop. Though we're only doing this walking and jumping, we'll have a slide because that's more realistic in my opinion. So below update, we are going to add 2 new voids. I'm going to call them void movements, and I'm going to make them private. Or private, I don't think that private should mess with anything, but a private void movement. And just add a brackets here. Then a private void jump. Now we're having the void jumping be a different void for the animations, which we will get done today. So to start off, we'll make a float inside the movement, and we'll call it H direction. And we'll have that set equal to input.getAxis raw, and set it the string to horizontal. So strings are, so anything in quotation marks is usually represented as a string. And strings are typically used for letters, symbols, and anything else not used for calculations of any sort. So what horizontal does, it basically represents A and D, which you can also change it in Unity. Because Unity has their own, and I don't actually remember where they're all. I think it's in Edit Preferences? Yeah, Preferences. It's not in Preferences. I don't think so. Alright, that's how you can tell your script editor, and it's... Yeah, I don't have Visual Studio there, so I can't see the other one. So it's not here. There is a way to change the stuff here, but I can't find it. I don't remember where it's at. It may be in build settings, actually. Would you go here, file, build settings? I'm actually going to move this here. It's not in build settings. We'll get more into build settings later on. So for now, just ignore it. Okay, so back to our script. After that, we'll just give it some space, and we're going to use some if h direction is less than 0. We're going to do r be the velocity. This will control our move left and right movement equals new vector 2 negative speed. R be dot velocity dot y, because we're not messing with the y direction. So this is for moving left, and left is a negative variable. If you look at a grid of like Desmos, you can see anything to the left is negative, everything to the right is positive. And that's how it works with Unity as well. So this controls the left movement, and I'm going to do an else if h direction is greater than 0, and do an rb.velocity equals new. But you could also duplicate by doing a Control-C, then a Control-V, and just changing speed to positive. And if we're not going to change rb.velocity.y because that should be used when we're jumping if you want to move our y variable. And we're just using x because that's our movement. So I'm going to save that, and we are going to have that load in. And we haven't done it as jumping yet because I just haven't done it yet. Now watch. And in the game. Uh-oh, something broke. Aha. That was a test. Nothing is going to work yet because it's not being... Movement isn't assigned anywhere, so it doesn't know if we're trying to do movement. Yeah, I'm also getting ahead of myself here. I'm going to do if time.delta time does not equal 0, we're just going to call movement here. Now, if you're wondering why I'm doing this, not just adding movement, this would be for a pause script later on, like a pause button, and I'm just going to add it now because it's somewhat easier to do. So as soon as it loads, we can see that we are now able to move. But look, our player is not moving, and we're also sliding a lot. Yeah, we're sliding a bit too much, in my opinion. So we're gonna fix the sliding and player moving right now. So if we want to do this, okay, scroll up the script. To do this, we are going to add a transform.local, not a local scale. I'm going to have it set to a new vector 2. We'll just have it -1, 1. This will have a player facing left. So, see what local scale does. I scale the transformation relative to the game object's parents. So our parent is the player, so this taps our player, and this does all the rotation stuff right over here. Nope. Wait, no. Yeah, it controls this one. Transform the local scale control here. And I think there's another one for rotation scale. But vector 2 is for using X and Y, and vector 3 is X, Y, and Z. We're only doing X and Y. I'm gonna add another one here, but leave it positive. And then we're gonna save that and show our test here once it loads. Boom. We're turning. We are turning, but we are still pretty fast. So I think I did actually change my speed in the end. So I just gotta... I actually think I did. I don't know. I may change my speed later on how I think about it, but next thing to do is we're gonna have our player stop moving, which this is optional, so I'm just leaving hashtag optional. Wait, no, it's / from here. And else if H direction, wrong thing. Yeah, so hashtag is used for Python, which I've been doing too much lately. So we / Unity for anything that you don't want the script to read. This is like comments. Hashtag is for Unity Python. The 2 / is option. Is C#, and I don't remember which other ones use it. But it is else if we do input dot get button up and set the string equal to horizontal here, and we're set to add is jumping equals false. So like I still want the player to slide when he jumps. If you don't want that to happen, you can just have it set and is you actually don't even need this. You don't need this actually if you just don't want, if you want the player to still if you don't want to play the slide when you land, you can just get rid of this, and it should, in theory, cancel it out. I don't know, I haven't really tried it. But if you can do rb dot divide it and do rb dot velocity equals is vector2 dot 0, which actually, no, I'm not going to do .0 this because .0 counts it out everything, but I'm just going to do it like this. So it only counts out the one movement. Oh yeah, you have to do a new vector2 because it's not a preset of vector2 already. So vector2.0 does not need new because it already knows what a vector2.0 means. And I forgot to add the .y. So velocity. So when you use rb.velocity, we're applying force basically in the certain directions determined by vector 2 or 3. And now you can put. So watch. We're gonna play here and do that. No, we're still sliding. Hey, look, edit settings input. It's doing it here. There's something broke here. So it's input, edit settings. I guess it's project settings. But we did projects. No, you're not. This looks different. Input manager, axis, horizontal, left and right. No, they're used. Yeah, that's how you change it. If you want to change it, I don't know what values you can change it to. I'm not really gonna mess with it. And left and right should also be in here. I guess not. Oh well. I don't know why it's saying horizontal is not set up when it is. I think I misspelled something. Yeah, I misspelled something. That is why. That's why we're getting that error. So that's the thing to show that spelling is important. And look, now when the moving, this actually feels a lot better to me. Though I may just still gonna play a bit. Maybe we still can't jump. Oh, look, we're stopping on a dime now. Okay. Let's see. Next step, we are going to add jump. So I'll be actually before that, we're just gonna set this up here. Now it looks like I, I actually forgot to put the jump function in, but jump is easy to do. There's a copy move function, but we're gonna add another else if call it input dot get button down. I don't know why it's giving mirrors. This is smooth. And down, that's what we called in parentheses jump. And then add a and hold on is touching layers ground. And we're gonna do that. What? Oh, we are missing one bracket. And one parentheses. So add the brackets and we are add jump here. Now for jump, we are just going to add object velocity equals new vector 2. Vector 2, and it will be rb.velocity.x. Then jump force. Then here you're going to put and I think that actually no, I'm missing something, so I'm gonna pause for a second then. Okay, guys, and we are back. So going up, yeah, I did, well, I forgot the picture. We just need to add is jumping equals true here. And we are not going to do anything else right now. No, actually, no, we can add a temporary script for update for if call dot is touching layers ground equals true. We have is jumping set to false, and this should, in theory, let us test the script. So wait for this to load. So before we actually test the jumping, we're gonna have to go here to layers, add a layer. Then I'm gonna change the name of layer 3 to ground, and I'm just gonna put capital. And go here, add ground to that, and then set ground to that, and that should be it. So if we want to, we can now test our script, and if you press spacebar, we are now jumping. And yeah, we're not gliding to a stop. Yeah, so, yeah, I think this messed with something. So I'm just actually gonna slash this out for now. Because we should be able to, we're still able to jump. Okay, that's odd. We should be able to jump while we're moving. So something broke. Oh, I know what I did wrong. This is not supposed to be an else if. This is just supposed to be a basic if. My mistake. And I'm just gonna split this out then. And now I can probably put this back. And yeah, if hold on is touching layers ground equals true. This jumping equals false. So this test may not work because I didn't leave the test. I only have it set up with animations. Nope. You can still jump though whenever. Oh, we still stop on time. Yeah, it's not something I want to do, but it'll fix if animations. So I'm actually just gonna get rid of this then and add a new bracket because the other one got messed up. There's Control Z a bunch till it's fixed. No, I did the wrong bracket. That's what. Just gonna there. So next thing we're gonna do is we are going to create a new camera controller. So as we test around, we know that our player can reach everywhere, and we don't have to assume it's not gonna reach, and it didn't actually reach. You can see. Yeah, so I may have to move my arms closer. Yeah, I can do that later, and you guys mess around with the movement speed and jump height as much as you want. Okay guys, I'm back, and I'm going to set my camera up how I had it in my test. Just so it can be like a tiny bit more in line with everything. Okay guys, I changed the main camera size to be 5.5 and moved the y-axis a bit so it's more in line with how it is in my other test. So, and for the player, I just changed the mask to be the same as the other one instead of using the same. Yes, it seems like the auto mask changed for him, which I don't know why though. Same sizes, 16 by 16 picks up a unit, so I don't know. I guess I don't know. It probably just feels off because there's no animation. And now we're gonna go back to our scripts, right click, create, and seesaw shift and call it camera controller. And I'm just gonna drag it to the camera. And now can I add it? Yep. So then open up the camera controller. Then we're just gonna delete everything. And it's nope, just delete start. Then over here we'll make a serialized field private. Why did you do that? Private transform, and we'll call it player. And in our updates we will add a transform.position, not game object, position equals new vector 3 player.position x transform.position.y. Now you can do it a player.position.y if you want the camera to move up and down when the player jumps, but I'm not going to do that for now. Then we can just do a transform.position.c. We don't want to mess with the z position at all, so let's leave it as the base transition. Then after that should actually all we be for the camera to follow the player in the x position. So I'm just gonna let this load, and we will test that out. Oh yeah, we forgot step. In the main camera, just click on your player. Hold click, don't just click on it. It's like hold left click on the player and just drag him here. Save. And then we'll load and boom. I think the thing was actually a negative 2.5. Yeah, it looks slightly better. And yeah, we can now make that jump. And this looks better. The camera, for the most part, the camera is in bounds with everything. And check for. It's good enough, I guess. Good as much as we can get it for now, which I actually don't like. Yeah, just leave it at 0. I'm just gonna leave it at 0. And again, I guess I had it at -2.5 because the way I had the background set up in the other one. So yeah, no, this is fine. Gonna have to move this around. Oh my, these count. So this needs their own. So these need their own tile maps, it seems. So that's my mistake. So yeah, I'm gonna go AFK and actually fix this. Yeah, see you guys when I'm done then. Alright, to start off creating our animations, we're gonna go to the window tab up here, animation, and open up the animation window. And let's move it down here for now. Then animation, open up the animator, and should be empty. And now we're going to go back to our player sprites and go to idle. First thing I'm going to do is right click, create, and go to an animation, or just call it, I'm going to call it player idle. You can just call it idle if you want. Just make sure all the images are set to 16 by 16. Yeah, you don't have to have it open here and have it open anywhere. Just make sure you can actually see the timeline here. This will tell you like how the frames will play out and all that. So first things first, I'm gonna do click here, shift, left click here, just drag and can I drag? Nope. Okay, so I guess the first thing I'm gonna do is drag this onto our player. This will create a player controller. Click here, you can see we actually have this up here in the animator, which we will mess with eventually, just not now. So then we're just gonna shift click all this, drag it here, and for this animation, I'm gonna have it set to every 5 seconds, every 5 whatever unit of time this is using. Honestly, don't know. I think it's ticks though. If you go back to scene here, you know he did this right. If you can see him doing this. Now it may be a bit fast, but over here in player idle and click here, let's enable loop time, and then to make this look nicer, I suggest adding the first. Okay, make sure you have the player selected. I suggest having the first frame be at 4 seconds after the last frame, just for this animation set. You don't have to do it for all of them. Just depends, I guess, if you think it looks good or not. But if you press play, it should start looping. And I'm going to move this down and see it a lot better. Honestly, looping, and it looks good. If we have looping ticked off, and I think I have to reload. Looping's ticked off, it plays once. It doesn't loop anymore. And if you use the cycle offset here, this is how you change, like, to offset the cycle looping animation. If you want to start at a different time, you can change the speed, or you can change basically how fast you want it to go by using this. But I don't know which way, because I usually don't mess with this. I usually like how it looks. And let's see. So the next thing we're going to do, it's going to be the same thing for a lot of these. Just make sure everything's switched up. Like my run animation is not switched. Just wait for that. Then go here. Create a new animation. Is it blocked somewhere? No, I'm just blind. Call it layer run. Drag it onto the player. Move this back here. Go player. Click here so you can always select between them. I like this, so I'll drag it here. And this one is going to be a good bit longer at 25 seconds. We add in the first clip at third, should be at 29. Then just press play to test how it looks. And yep, that looks good. Then next thing, I clicked too far. Next thing I'm going to add is the jump and fall, believe it or not. These are two separate animations that are one image. So make sure when you go to run, enable looping. Now I clicked too far again. So we're just going to create an animation, call this one player jump, and just do Control D, F2 to rename, then player fall. And I think I can just do this. Yeah, I added them both. So player jump. That's physically all you gotta do. You don't even need to enable looping, I'm pretty sure. There's player fall. Boom. I mean, you can also mess with the collision box, but I don't think you should. You can also, in the animations, you can resize the collision box and everything, but I don't know if I'm going to do it. I'm just going to leave it like this. Yeah, if you want to mess with the collision box to move this up more, go ahead. That is your opinion. Let's see. How does it look on jumping? I don't know. You can mess with it if you want, just make it look a bit nicer. You actually have to add the property here, and we are doing the... No, you don't. No, I'm just going to Control Z it a lot. And see player fall. Just click this. Yeah, I went back. Player jump. Player fall. When you do this, you click record. Click record. Then you edit. Then it should like automatically reset the sizes and everything. So like, and we click stop recording, and to go to like player idle, and you can see that stayed the same. Go back to fall, click play. Should the collider box change, which I'm just gonna remove them. So I'm not gonna mess with them. I'm just showing you guys how to do it. Then if you have like other colliding, you can mess with all of this stuff here in the animations, which I'm not gonna get to any of that in this series really, unless I want to change the box slider for the fall animation. So the last one we're gonna add for now, we're gonna add the others later, is hurt. Make sure they're set to 16 by 16 pixels per unit. Create, and hurt is just 2, by the way. And just call it player hurt. And drag it into play. Now, if you guys haven't noticed, if you look in the animator, all of our animations we've added are getting added here. This is how we will control when each scene, when each animation should play. So this one of course, we will be adding the hurt animation, not be 5 seconds, and I did not want to move that. Can I drag them? Thank you. 5 seconds here. You can also do like Control Z, move your mouse, and Control V it. And this needs to be a loop. The other two did not need to be a loop. If you go here, go to player hurt. Add a little hurt animation. I may move it later on. Okay, that completes the animations, and now we will move on to the animator tab. Okay, moving on to the animated tab, I'm actually going to move this here so it's bigger. Move this down a tiny bit too tall. Move this here. So, on this tab, we're going to first things first, we're going to go to parameters here and create an integer and call it state. Make sure it's all lowercase though. And next thing I'm going to do is like line these. I'm just going to line these all up in a row with like one space apart. We're not going to use exit, but you can't delete it, I think, so I'm just going to move it down there. So next thing I'm going to do is right click, create a state, an empty state, and just call it, over here, just call it state picker on the top right. And after that, we're going to right click, make a transition into state picker. Let's do it like this, then make a transition back into all the animations from state picker. That one did not connect. Yeah, I'm also moving this down a bit. So after that, on each one's pointing into state picker, we're going to have it set to state not equal. And these integers here, these will be determined once you make a finite state machine, which would be after that. For me, I think I know how I'm going to do it. So this one to be 0. And you can probably copy, so not equals to 1. Not equals to 3. Yeah, I'm just going to move these two around. State not equals to 2. Alright, when doing that, disable has exit time, fixed duration, change that to 0. This will make the animations look a whole lot better when switching. And yes, we will be doing the same thing for the other ones, except they will be set to equal instead of not equal to. That's not equal to 3, and state not equal to 4. This will be state equals, disable all that, equals 1, disable that, equals 2. 2, disable all that. 3 equals to 3, disable all that. Then equals to 4, disable all that. Save that. And that's it for the animator tab. So to explain what transition duration, and this like would determine how long it takes for the states for the transitions to go into the next one, and the offsets or the has exit time would determine how long it takes once the animation finished to move to the next one. So we don't really want any of that. That's why it's being disabled. You can mess with them in your own time if you want to see how you like it. But yeah, next thing we'll do is move on to the finite state machine. Okay, so just to mention, a finite state machine is created using enumerators and or enumerations, one of the two or both, or the same thing. I don't really know. Okay, so they are used to create a collection of integers / constants that have relation to one another. So in our player controller, we're going to add a private enum, which stands for enumerator, and have it called states in brackets at idle, running, jumping, falling, and hurt. If you hover over them, you can see all the numbers that they are given by the enum, and these are the numbers we add here. This will determine when the animation will play and when to switch to the next animation. So below this, we will add a private state and called state equals state.idle. This will also help determine when the state should switch. And I'm just going to show this now. If you do hashtag region, and I'm going to call it finite state machine. Then hashtag end region. You can make boxes where you can hide everything, which I'm just going to do it for the finite state machine for now. So first things first, we actually can go back here, Control X that, and add a new if statement called if state. We got the parentheses state does not equal state.idle movement. So when we get hurt, we don't want our player to like be able to move around still while playing the hurt animation. So if the player has the hurt, not idle, my bad. When the player's hurt, he can't move at all. He has to deal with the hurt animation, pushing him back or forward or up, whatever we have it set to. So after that, we're going to scroll down to the bottom. You can close these. You can also close these here if you want. We still have some stuff to do and update, so just leave everything open. I don't think we have... my bad. Okay, so I'm going to add a new private void called animation state. And I'm going to add a bunch of if statements, so like if state equals state dot jumping, if rb dot velocity dot y is greater than 0.3f. You got the parentheses again. Do state equals state dot following. Yeah, that's the first one we're doing. Then do else if state equals state dot following. If call dot is touching layers ground. State equals state dot idle, then is jumping was false, and that's how we're gonna use it. That's how we're gonna calculate when the player should slide when they're jumping or not. This should work in theory. Actually, no, it does work. I actually do know it works. Okay. So we're using a 0.3 for here because we want this to be as close as possible to 0 in calculating when it should switch from like running to idle to jumping to falling, and all that. So that's why we're using decimals as close as 0 to possible. So for jumping, we do 0.3. This should detect when its velocity starts to go down, which 0.3 has actually worked for me a good lot. You may need to change this number. It may not work for everyone or all animations, so just experiment with the number if you have to. Okay, so our next one is else if state equals state dot hurt. If math f dot abs dot rb dot velocity dot x greater than 0.1f or .1f because that works well. State equals state dot idle. So yeah, in all hurt statement, we'll have our player most likely move backwards. I think there's one way moves upwards. No, just sideways, I think. But yeah, when he wants him to like stop being pushed back, we want him to be able to, you know, switch back to idle. And now these ones will determine running. So we'll do another mathf.absolute rb.velocity.x. And have it greater than 2f. State equals state dot equals state.running, then else state equals state.idle. So once again, map that absolute. This determines as close as this val or as 0 as possible. So we want a player to be at a certain speed before it switches to running. This will help determine all that. Then the next thing we need to do is go back to updates. And below here we need to make a not here in the time we make a reference to animation state. And then we need to do one more thing that I forgot to do. We need to make a over here a private animator called anim, and back in awake just do anim equals get component animator, then down here do anim.set integer state in parentheses integer state. So this line here will set the animation based on the enumerator or the finite state machines up here. And this is reference this creates a reference in the update to know when to switch everything. Basically, this is what the best I can explain. So as soon as we save, go back to scene. Why am I zoomed into here? As soon as we click play, we are missing something. Okay, sure, jumping works. We know jumping on movement works. Or sliding. I broke something. Yay, breaking stuff. Fun. Not really. What? I see what we did. We forgot to add something up here. State equals state dot jumping. This needs to be here. Because, yeah, even though, yeah, everything else switches here except for jumping. Jumping is set when you press spacebar. That's the easiest way I found to done it, instead of having to make too many more modifications. Making repeat stuff, basically. Like, you don't want to have too many codes that repeat itself. That's why if statements are a thing. You can have it in the same part. Yeah, look how all of our animations work. See, like the slide, not sliding to a stop. When we were, see, like we're sliding here still. Even running a little bit, which is good. But yeah, let me look and do all this stuff. You can barely make that. But yeah, I want that to happen here. Camera does not go down that far, sadly. Which I think I actually did have it set in the original. No idea. You can. That's why people have the camera like follow the player up the wide X value. Though we will be using something else later on. Allow me to switch that. Yeah. So guys, in the next episode we'll get to pick up health and maybe start an enemy. I don't know, but I want you guys to try working out setting up the next two animations and like add some buttons to test them out. Just to test the animations, maybe, no idea. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy this episode, and I'll try to get a video out once a week, maybe every 2 weeks, depends when I have time. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode.